I want to welcome you tonight to our panel on integrated business and engineering, the newest major at Krannert. We have some really great panelists with us tonight, and I'm going to take my time introducing them. I think it's going to spur some questions as we're introducing our panelists, but I will tell you that you can enter questions in the chat and in the Q&A, and we will definitely answer your questions after we get around and introduce people. I want to start with the Dr. Samuel R. Allen, Dean of the Krannert School of Management and Distinguished Professor of Economics, David Hummels. Thank you for joining us tonight, Dean Hummels. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So I wanted to go with the full title because Sam Allen, who has very generously given an endowment to Krannert, he is an industrial management alum. A lot of our industrial management alums have gone on to do wonderful things. Sam is retired CEO and chairman of John Deere. I know the current CEO of Eli Lilly is also an industrial management graduate. We have a couple of others with us here tonight. So I wanted to just see if you could give us a little background on why we decided to take this program that has produced so many exceptional alums and add some additional flavor to it to turn it into integrated business and engineering. So can you give us a little background on that?
Sure. So, Mary, we started off with the following puzzle, a degree title or, major name that meant a lot back in the 1970s. And it had less and less meaning to the 17 and 18-year-olds we were trying to recruit, and as importantly, to a lot of the companies where we wanted to place our students. And so we started off with a rebrand. How do we capture a new name for this thing that captures really what it's all about? That's kind of where we started. But more than that, as we got into the process, and that involved a lot of conversations with current students, with recent alumni of the program, and with the recruiters who come and hire our students, we were able to put our fingers on a number of things that were great about the program, and then some things that we felt like we could improve. And so a couple of things that I'll just sort of highlight that will be a feature of the new integrated business and engineering program. The first piece that's really important is to a much greater degree, there's true integration between the business and the engineering components. And that really takes place in a couple of ways. The first is we've increased the amount of coursework that students will do in the science and engineering disciplines to complement what they get with the Krannert core. And that will enable students to go deeper in some subjects that are of interest to them. And then second, what we did was we've created a set of integrating experiences. Sorry, my golden retriever's barking in the background. I hope you're not picking that up. A set of integrating experiences through programs that are run jointly with the engineering college called EPICS and vertically integrated projects. And I can chat with you a little bit about what those are all about. What we're excited about with those integrating projects is it's a real opportunity to take what you're learning on the engineering side of things and what you're learning on the management and business side of things and use those in concert to solve real problems. And so we're pretty excited for that opportunity. The last piece that's going to be really important, and then I'll stop talking about the kind of curricular pieces, is we really felt the need to have more cohort integration. For students. I mean, this is in some ways the most challenging major within Krannert, and also the major that takes students the furthest. And we felt it was appropriate for students to have a real esprit de corps, being part of the major. So there are some things that we're doing in terms of deliberate cohort design that will enable students to both rely on each other, and we're also creating a physical space that will be unique to the IBE students. In some sense, a kind of combination classroom, project area, hangout sort of place where people can really come together, work together, and be part of a community together. So we're pretty excited about those integrating and community elements.
That all sounds great. We are welcoming the very first class to the integrated business and engineering major this fall. So we don't have any current students in the program, but because it was based on the industrial management program, we do have both students and alumni who have graduated from industrial management. And I'd like to go ahead and introduce Isha Patel. Isha graduated last May, and she is a financial analyst at Microsoft. Isha, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what you are currently doing at Microsoft.
Yeah, for sure. So, like Mary mentioned, I'm a financial analyst at Microsoft right now. And currently, I'm working in the tax and trade organization, working on process automation for some of the internal tools that we use. But previously, I worked in Xbox, which is pretty exciting. We had a new console launch last year. So, that was kind of cool to be part of that. And that's like one of the benefits of industrial management and the new degree is that you can have this versatility. And I can definitely see that in my role in Microsoft.
So with the new degree, we have 3 areas that we are kind of recommending that students might want to specialize in: data analytics, financial engineering, and supply chain and operations management. So Isha, when you did your degree, what was kind of your specialty area that you paired with industrial management?
Yeah, so mine may not be, I guess, fitting to the new specializations. Mine was industrial engineering. So it was more, I guess, process efficiency, optimization, and supply chain related and using engineering processes. So I feel like with the new program, it might combine data analytics and financial engineering pretty well.
Interesting. So I wanted to ask you too, Isha, about your other internships you had when you were a Krannert student and what kind of things were involved in those internships.
Yes. So one of the internships I had was at Deloitte, which was consulting based. And it involved a lot of data reconciliation. And I worked with a large commercial bank. So that was pretty cool to get the more finance side and then also the consulting side. And previously, I also worked with Crow, which I did. It's been a while now. I did government consulting. So that had a more like personal, like social impact related work, all of which really paired well with the Krannert degree and also gaining like those out of classroom experiences.
Thank you. Just trying to give students who are coming into IBE an idea of the types of opportunities we have for them. And one other thing, Isha, before I move on, I know you were very involved in case competitions. How many case competitions did you do as a Krannert student?
Oh my gosh. Good question. I don't think I've ever counted, Mary. Maybe more than 10. I think that's like a good estimate. But
And
highly recommend them.
could you briefly describe what that is for students who are with us tonight?
Yes, yes. So a good way to think about case competitions is kind of like speech and debate meets a science fair project. I think that's like a good way to describe it. You get a problem that a company has either made up or had in the past. And it's usually sponsored by a really big company too. So you get that really good face time with a lot of cool people that are working in those companies. And so they give you this problem. You usually have a time constraint. So I've had one that was 24 hours, but they can range from like a month long to a couple weeks. And then you work on a solution in a team for this problem that is either has happened in the past or it even could be a potential problem that they're working on right now. And then you present it to leadership in that company, and that's kind of like a really good summary of what you do. It's a really great opportunity to work with like face to face, use your Krannert skills, use your in classroom and out of classroom skills.
And I think you also might have actually earned a little bit of money from your case competitions as well.
Yes, a very lovely added benefit too. A lot of them come with monetary prizes, so that feels pretty good to pad your scholarship that way.
That's awesome. Thank you, Isha. Matt Stone, you also graduated last May in industrial management, and you're now working as a staff consultant at Ernst & Young. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your job right now?
Yes, sorry, I just had technical difficulties. So as a staff consultant, so I'm working in consulting, similar to what Isha was just talking about, where I'm a part of the supply chain group, and in consulting, basically you get assigned to different projects with different companies in different industries, and that's really the exciting part about it is that you're getting to work in quick periods, helping different companies on pretty transformational type projects. So recently I was helping a Fortune 500 retail company plan where they're going to put their new distribution center and how their logistics were all going to work together. And now I just joined within a pharmaceutical company spinning off one of its major brands. So that's really the exciting thing, is getting to use your supply chain skills and really learn quickly on different types of projects.
And I believe that your specialty area with your degree was financial engineering. Is that right, Matt?
Yep. So within industrial management, financial engineering and supply chain were my two concentrations.
Any particular coursework that really made a difference for you, or a way that that worked with your degree that was really helpful?
Yeah, what I would say was great about the financial engineering major, not only taking those advanced corporate finance classes and mergers and acquisitions and really learning how companies are using their capital and being strategic about how cash flows through their company, but also getting the opportunity to take classes like advanced spreadsheet modeling, where you're really taking real world problems and applying different methods and learning real world tools and solutions that you're then able to apply when you join for an internship or for a job. That you have real skills that you've built through this type of coursework and through projects that you're building along with your coursework.
So Matt, can you tell us about the internships you had as a Krannert student?
Yeah. So as a sophomore, I interned with Ingersoll Rand down in the North Carolina area. I was working on order to cash processes and applying more manufacturing type lean principles, but towards transactional processes, which a lot of companies have a real need for. So that was a great internship. And then that ended up applying into getting an internship with EY in the Chicago branch with the supply chain group. That is now my current full-time role.
So you interned with them first and then you went full-time.
Yeah. So after my junior summer, I interned with them, and that led to a full-time offer at the end of my junior summer, which was really great. So senior year, having a full-time job all lined up.
Very nice. So the last thing I want to ask you, Matt, before we move on, I've been talking with a lot of the incoming integrated business and engineering students about summer study abroad. And I know you did a summer study abroad. Can you tell us what that experience was like for you?
Yes, it was almost 4 years ago now to this May, and I still am always thinking about my study abroad experience. But Krannert, I thought that was really one of the great things, is having study abroad. So they had a 4-week program in Florence, Italy. It was a group of 25 Krannert students going together. We got to live in an apartment in Florence together, living with Italian families above and below us. And in that, we took 2 courses, 2 3-credit courses. One was our law requirement, so business law, and then our other was Italian family business and entrepreneurship. And in that class, we had an Italian professor teaching us. We got to tour different Italian family businesses. We went to an olive oil vineyard. We went to a goldsmith shop, seeing all these really cool small businesses throughout Florence, and just being able to live and immerse yourself in the culture like that for 4 weeks. I thought it was one of the most valuable experiences I had throughout college, to get that type of cultural experience. And especially now with COVID, after a year of not traveling, I think I'm just so glad I did it. It's like the best thing I could have ever done in college was being able to go abroad for that time.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear you enjoyed it. I know all of our students, whenever I ask, they are so glad that they did study abroad and had such an impact on them. So thanks for sharing that, Matt.
Yep, I'd highly recommend.
So John, I would like you to introduce yourself. You are currently a junior at Krannert. Tell us a little bit about the classes you've been taking and about what your specialty area is in industrial management.
Yeah. So I'm John Gurtner. I'm a junior industrial management, like you said. I have 2 concentrations. So the first one is in supply chain and operations management, and the second one is in data analytics. And I was looking through the course paper for the new IBE major, and I see that those are actually 2 of the new selectives that you can have. So that's kind of nice. I can talk a little bit about that. I've done most of my coursework in the first concentration so far in the supply chain and operations, and then next year, my senior year, I'm going to work mostly through my data analytics concentration. Yeah, but so for supply chain, I've taken a logistics class that deals with, connecting factories to warehouses to customers. I've taken a class that deals mostly with inside of factories, how to organize and make sure that your storage is efficient. And then I've taken a few classes that kind of focus here and there in different aspects of the supply chain as well. So it's been really interesting. I've really enjoyed my coursework.
And John, I know you have an internship lined up for this summer. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so I have an internship at Land O'Lakes, actually one of their subsidiaries. It's called NutriBlend, and it's in Missouri. So I'll be working at one of their warehouses, just organizing, making sure that they're getting the most efficient use out of the warehouse.
Sounds like it'll be a great experience. That's awesome. And Amanda, last but not least, we have a freshman with us. She is also in the Honors College. So Amanda, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what your first year experience has been like. What have those calculus classes been like? How are things going so far?
Yes. So as Marie said, I am Amanda Hubert. I am a freshman in industrial management. So I'm just 1 year ahead of most people that are probably on this panel. Yeah, so I'm kind of still working through those basic kind of STEM classes, the chem and the calc. They're challenging, but definitely manageable. Take advantage of your resources. Little piece of advice there. Yeah, and then I'm also in the Honors College, so I can take any questions related to anything like that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amanda. I see we definitely have some questions coming in, and I'm getting some over here. I'm not sure exactly where to start, but Dean Hummels, maybe we'll start with the question about the EPICS projects teams and maybe how that's going to work with our IBE students, with the engineering students as well.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about that. So there are a couple of sort of integrating experiences that students can do. One is called EPICS and one's called VIP. EPICS stands for Engineering Projects in Community Service. And the idea is that faculty-led student teams will work on a project that it both combines engineering and business principles to solve a problem that's faced by someone in the community. So an example, let me give you a couple of examples of these. There are a number that are coming from biomedical engineering that are focused on things like helping zoos monitor the position of rhinoceroses with acoustic monitoring. Another one that's about teaching kids with hearing loss how to code. Another one that's about providing alternative energy solutions to remote to villages in developing countries in remote areas. Another one that's about let's see here, another one, projects to address challenges that communities face after natural disasters. So those are the idea in each one of those cases is to try and find significant social challenges that can be solved through some combination of engineering and business. The vertically integrated projects are a little bit different because they are based on specific research done by a faculty member. And they bring in students to participate in that. And the vertically integrated piece means that you're working with students across different disciplines and across different parts of their degree progression. So first year students through seniors through even some graduate students. And so there you have projects to take some examples of what's going to be on the menu for this next year. One that's focused on the United Nations Climate Challenge Race to Zero, on how you design hydrogen fuel cell technologies for use in distributed in small villages. Another one that's focused on the Internet of Things and edge technologies, so like very small distributed sensors that could be used in agriculture or could be used in medicine or a variety of different things. A number of teams that are focused on software design, others that are using things around sustainable agriculture. And then finally, for those of you who sometimes lose your car keys or your cell phone, one that we'll be running called Where's My Stuff? And it's about emerging technologies for figuring out where your stuff is which is irritating when you lose your car keys. But if you're a company that's trying to put things together and you lose things, the whole place shuts down. So it turns out to be a kind of a showstopper, literally, of a problem, and trying to solve that problem is going to be the last one of those projects. So the idea in each case is find something that forces you to use emerging technologies to solve a business or a social challenge, and work with students from a wide variety of different disciplines and different places in their career progression to try and solve those things in teams.
And Isha, it sounds like you actually have some personal experience with the epics.
Yes, I actually did epics for one semester when I was a freshman, and it is a great experience. Like, you are going to have the time of your life. The project that I worked on was a stroke rehabilitation device for a hospital in Ireland. So we were making a virtual reality environment so that way people who had suffered from a stroke can practice daily activities that they're struggling with. So, for example, we created like a virtual environment to help people use the ATM, and which is great because sometimes you want to practice those things, especially if you've lost like your fine motor skills after a stroke. And so we created this entire virtual reality environment where people could practice these like very small, intricate tasks without actually having to like go to an ATM and like practice that, which was pretty cool, very exciting.
Sounds like a great experience.
It's 100%. Like, if you get the opportunity to do it, I highly recommend it.
Not only will they have the opportunity, they actually have to do it. So that's one of the
Okay, so
changes
that's
in
great.
curriculum. Yeah. So in the industrial management major, it was an option. It's now the students in the IBE will have multiple EPICS and VIP opportunities and requirements to complete the degree. So it's going to be one of those force you out of your comfort zone kind of experiences.
And if I could just say, so I did not have involvement with that, but looking back, especially as you get to be a sophomore and junior, having those types of experiences to be able to talk about of how you're applying your coursework and solving a real problem, that's exactly what, when you interview for an internship, that's exactly what they ask you about. And having those real types of experiences where you're working on a team and you're thrown into something that maybe you're not as comfortable with, or you may have not been so thrilled to do, that's really going to help you develop and to be able to talk about and get a really good internship. It sounds really impressive.
So there are some questions talking about the engineering coursework and the flexibility. If you have not yet looked at the curriculum, I would encourage you to go to the Krannert website, to the page for integrated business and engineering. You can look at the entire curriculum. You can see how the courses lay out semester by semester. I actually took a really good look at it today, and it includes 46, you can correct me, Dean Hummels, if I'm wrong, 46 business credits, so 46 hours of business coursework. You're going to have 32 hours of engineering coursework. So that's kind of the breakdown. More business, but you have quite a bit of engineering as well. There's 27 credit hours in labs, seminars, and core requirements. And then that specialty area, we've reserved 12 credit hours and an additional 3 in general electives for you to really focus on that specialty area that you're interested in. So as far as I understand, and Dean Hummels, you can definitely speak to this, we are looking at giving you a business degree with a lot of engineering in it, but it is not an engineering degree.
So that's right. So this is, I want to be like super clear about this. It's not, if people want to be engineers, they should go and take a degree in the engineering college. Great engineering college. They're amazing partners with us on the IBE. What we're looking for with this degree is something a little bit different. And it's someone who can work between these disciplines, who can function as a translator between the technical side of an operation and the business side of an operation. One of the things you'll find when you go and work in companies, especially any companies that are dealing with any sort of technology, which is these days almost all of them, is you run into this challenge where there are some people who understand the technical aspects of what's going on. They don't understand the business problem that's being solved. Or they'll understand the business problem, but they have no view into the technologies that can help solve them. So someone who can move flexibly between those two environments, who can translate between the two, is exceptionally helpful and potent in that environment. So that's what we're trying to create here, and that's what the industrial management degree did with great success, and we think the changes will make people even better in that regard.
So I see a question about IBE and if Purdue supports entrepreneurship, or if it's more focused on promoting a career path. And I would say that we definitely support both. If you have not yet looked at the Burton Morgan Center for Entrepreneurship, I would encourage you to look at that on the Purdue website. They have a certificate program that is 5 courses that I think you could integrate with your integrated business and engineering major. That specialty area is flexible. You can design your own, and I definitely think entrepreneurship would be something you could add there as a focus. They have business plan competitions. You can win up to $20,000 to start your own business at Purdue, and some other prizes as well. So that would be my opinion. Dean Hummels, do you think the
Well,
same?
I was gonna ask if if any of our students or alumni have taken any of the entrepreneurship courses. Have any of you had a chance to do that? No? Okay, we didn't get to. Okay, so we have, one of the things about Purdue is it is the I think the number 3 ranked technology commercialization ecosystem in the country. And the way that's measured is we look at things like intellectual property being created and commercialized at Purdue. So what are the opportunities here? You know, at a lot of universities, they'll have entrepreneurship courses in which you sort of talk about the theory of starting a business. And what you can do at Purdue is you can either directly start your own because you've got some idea and you can go through the business plan competitions and get financial support. Or, and I think this is particularly relevant for IBE students, you can work with emerging technologies that are coming out of labs at Purdue right now and think about the business problems that they solve and what you have to do to get that little piece of technology to a place where it's got a market value to it. At least one of the VIP projects is very specifically focused on this problem and is run by an engineering faculty member who leads the engineering entrepreneurship program. So for students who are interested in that path, I would suggest that particular VIP project because it's going to be directly on the point of emerging technologies and how we commercialize them.
So I'm seeing some more questions about computer science options and data science options. We do have the specialty area that you can kind of create your own area. We offer a minor in computer science, and there is a certificate in data science that is offered on campus as well. I think either one of those areas you could incorporate into your specialty area if that's something you're interested in. Again, I would go to the Purdue website. If you look at all of the minors, you'll see the computer science minor. There's a lot of detail about what's required for that. And also if you search for the certificate in data science, you'll find a lot of information. And that program is particularly flexible, lots of different options for coursework to take in that program.
So let me jump in there, Mary. So we have several people who are data analytics concentrators, right? And maybe, because that's sometimes it can be challenging for people outside the university to understand the difference between data science and computer science and data analytics. There are some broad similarities between the two, between all 3 of those, in fact. The difference is really in the applications to which you put the skills. So I wonder if some of the folks who are on the call with us can talk about the data analytics coursework they've done. Somebody want to jump in? I think John, did you?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit. Yeah, so I'm in a class this semester that's for my data analytics concentration. And a lot of what we've done is we've taken really large data sets, like huge Excel files, and then we've kind of tried to figure out like patterns in the data, running different regression models, all the different kinds of regression, and just trying to figure out how variables interact and like what the overlying like pattern in the data is. Which has been really interesting, just seeing all the different ways that you can mathematically break something down. And we've been using a program called R, which is SQL, which is really nice. It's my first programming language that I've learned. So it's been really exciting to get into that.
So I guess the other thing that I would say here, you'll find around Purdue a number of different pockets of excellence related to data science. We have an amazing computer science department. an amazing statistics department. But within Krannert, we've got actually the #1 ranked master's program in data science in the country. Our BAME programs, Business Analytics and Information Management, it's the #1 ranked program in the country. And it is extraordinarily effective at teaching students how to use coding and statistics and use them in business applications, right? So like a really simple example of this might be something like, imagine you're a company looking at tens of thousands of applicants for a position. How is it that I can data mine all of the information about those candidates in order to generate the highest probability of success in terms of a hire? Okay, so that's an example of human resource analytics. And you can do the same thing with respect to marketing data or with respect to operations data and so on. So it's a very powerful set of applications in a business context that companies are willing to pay a lot of money for talent.
All right, so we've got a couple of questions about machine shops in the engineering college. I don't know if that's something we really do at Purdue. I don't know if anyone on this panel knows, but I'm throwing that question out there.
I know that you can reserve time at any machine shop on campus, even if you're not an engineering student. So you can definitely take advantage of the facilities, if that was the only question. I can't like speak to the specific machinery or anything like that,
Yeah.
but you definitely have access to it.
You had an industrial engineering concentration with your degree, is that right, Isha? Did you have any work that was related to that with the machine shop? I'm not sure what area of engineering that would be.
Not specifically, but I mean, I did take a look around at the facilities and I went with a couple of my friends to try on the equipment and stuff like that, but I had nothing to do with like classwork. It was just for personal interests, I guess.
So there are across campus, I don't know, maybe a half dozen maker spaces. Several of them are located in engineering. There are a number in the new Bechtel Design building, and also right next to us, the industrial design program sits in the College of Liberal Arts, but it's right next to us. All of these are, all these maker spaces give you an opportunity to work with tools in a lot of different media. So, 3D printers and other, sort of moldable plastics and all kinds of different stuff like that to create physical artifacts. One of the things that was kind of interesting about those maker spaces this summer was that teams of Purdue faculty and students were fabricating personal protective equipment in the middle of the pandemic to ensure that healthcare providers in the state had what they needed to treat patients. And so that was coming directly out of the maker spaces on campus all summer long.
There is another question about IBE students and if they're going to be in class with other IBE students or engineering students. And the way I understand it, it's going to be a mixture. There is a cohort aspect to the program, and we are anticipating that 2 classes your first year on campus, you will be with IBE students. That would be the microeconomics class and your introductory accounting. I think we're going to try to keep those as cohorts. And then your engineering classes, your calculus classes, you're going to be mixed in with those engineering students is the way I understand it. And I believe the VIP and EPICS will work the same way. It'll be a mixture of business and engineering students in those classes.
That's right. And so, I mean, historically, for the folks on the call who went through industrial management, you were mixed in with all the other engineering students right from the get-go without the kind of cohort piece on the side. So we've created the 2-class cohort to bring people together, as well as the opportunity to be in a living learning community. And then for the rest of it, yeah, you're going to be in there with the engineering students quite deliberately as a way to push you and help you learn.
I know that most of
Amanda,
the students.
Looks like Amanda wanted to jump in. Go ahead.
Oh,
Amanda.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amanda. I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add something because I'm kind of going through those engineering type classes right now. And I just want to kind of emphasize how cool of an opportunity it is for IBE students to have that cohort and learning community through like they said, the intro to accounting and microeconomics classes, because then you're going to meet people that are also going to be taking calc with you, so you can work with those IBE students as well as engineering students. Like I have some study groups with engineering students, but I haven't really been able to, probably COVID related, but also because industrial management doesn't have that same cohort to meet other industrial management students that are also going through that class. So I just think that's such a cool opportunity just to get to meet people in those cohort classes and be able to translate that with other engineering students in those engineering focused classes.
Thanks, Amanda. So I'm going to jump in and talk a little bit about the IBE learning community because we're getting a few questions about that. The way I understand it, all IBE students will be part of the activities involved with the learning community. So if you don't choose to live in the residential portion of the learning community, if you don't want to live in that residence hall with all other IBE students, that's fine. You can still participate in the activities. I know the deadline is tomorrow to sign up for a learning community. So don't worry about that too much. If you miss that deadline, you can still participate in the activities. And if you miss the deadline, they will try to fit you in if there's space available. Dean Hummels, I don't know if you want to talk any more about learning community and what we're anticipating with that as far as.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we're pretty excited about is we have hired a program director for IBE. Is a gentleman who has spent his career on, he's actually a double boiler, we like to call them, which is not just a pot you use for cooking fudge. It's also someone who has 2 degrees from Purdue. And he had both a STEM degree and then got an MBA from Krannert. And he's come back to us after a number of years in industry working on the business side of aerospace. And so he will be working to create a number of activities around the living learning community. And some of that's going to look like some events and seminar speakers and opportunities to work with alumni and other kind of folks who are at, working on problems really at the intersection of technology and business. And so it's really the living learning community. I think they really do 2 kinds of things. The first is just makes it very easy for you to find people who are doing similar kind of coursework and, find study partners and people, to commiserate with when the midterm didn't go as well as you hoped, which inevitably happens. But also, some other events where you can come together and kind of get an early glimpse of what careers might look like, things you might want to pursue.
And we're getting some questions too about internships and co-op opportunities. And I'll tell you that historically, Krannert students have preferred internships over co-ops. I've talked with people in our professional development center, and I think one of the reason is because with a co-op, you are locked into one company. And as both Isha and Matt have said, they had internships with different companies. Sometimes it's nice to have that opportunity to try on a different company and see how things work there. So we do have co-op opportunities. You could do a 1-year co-op, I think after junior year is what we're looking at, or during, right before junior year, possibly doing a 1-year co-op. But internships will be possible starting after freshman year. A lot depends on the student. Not every student will get an internship after freshman year. Some get them after sophomore year, but 91% of our students have had at least one internship before they graduate. We're very excited about the opportunities that we currently have, and we're anticipating we'll have even more opportunities. And Dean Hummels, I don't know if I told you this story or not, but I got a phone call, it's been about a month ago now, from someone who wanted to know how they could hire our IBE students as interns. And of course, IBE students aren't even on campus yet. So there's definitely a buzz out there and people are very interested in them for sure. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, I actually was going to ask Isha and Matt, maybe if they could talk a little bit about how they selected the internships that they went into and why they preferred to go that particular route. Matt, you want to go first?
Sure, I can go. So my sophomore summer, I was enjoying really your first 2 years at Krannert, you're taking those introduction classes, your finance, supply chain, and those were really the classes that I liked. And with Ingersoll Rand, I was able to find an internship where I was in an operational role, but working within financial processes. So for me, it felt really right. And I would get to explore a lot. And just what I'd say from that internship, you're starting to apply and seeing how all these things in your coursework are actually applying to a real business. And what all these like theories or these equations that you've been learning and studying, how it's actually playing into what this company's doing. So I think you really just get such a stronger grasp of when you go back on campus and then you're learning more and thinking back to your internship too. It just gives you so much context in your coursework. And then from that internship too, you get to really think about, what do I like doing more? And you're not locked into that job. So as you then go and look for more jobs, for me, I thought consulting would be a great way to really see different industries, and gain a lot of experiences quickly. So I think you're really able to learn a lot about yourself, and your coursework through internship.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Matt said. I had a really similar experience. I really enjoyed a lot of my math classes and my game theory classes, and that's what kind of led me more on a finance track, even though I started in consulting, which is great. Like, you get to really try on as many things as you want. And I also like to say that if research is something that you're interested in, I would definitely try that out as well. I think a lot of people talk about working in industry, but if research is something that you want to do, I think there's a lot of opportunities for you to exercise that muscle. I was in the honors college and I did a research project, and it was a phenomenal experience. So definitely don't knock that either. If you're like kind of teetering with the idea, you should definitely try both.
Do you want to tell us what your research project was, Isha?
Yeah, sure. It was a little bit, it was a really good mix of like a social impact project and also a little bit more economics. And it was about coming up with like a formula necessarily on how we bring like very skilled labor into this country. So taking into like this, we looked a lot of research into immigration and process reform into that side of the, I guess, world, I guess, and then also trying to have a more like academic approach to that. So it was really good blend of like that business side of using your economics and your finance classes, and then also like your liberal arts kind of muscle, which was really cool.
Thanks, Isha. There seems to be more questions about learning communities. So I wondered if anyone on our panel has been part of a learning community at Purdue. So I'm not surprised. Learning communities are definitely not required. It is a tool that students use to help get integrated on campus very quickly. It's a great way to meet your classmates, have some classes with those students, and do some activities with them outside of the classroom. It is not something all students participate in, but for integrated business and engineering, we wanted to have that piece to help students kind of develop that cohort, as Dean Hummels was talking about. So if you are accepted and admitted into IBE, you will be part of that learning community. You are not required to live in the same residence hall. If you want to have a roommate who's in a different major, that's totally fine. So I wouldn't worry too much about the learning community. There is definitely going to be a piece of that with this major, but it's not something that you have to worry about, as far as too many activities or doing too much. I have seen some people also asking if they could join a different learning community. We do offer the Data Mine learning community, Women in Business, a couple of others as well. I would just say, think about how busy you want to be. You don't want to overextend as a freshman. I think you could belong to more than one learning community, but there's no reason that you have to do that. You'll definitely be taking data analytics and a lot of those types of classes as a Krannert student. I don't know if anyone else has advice on learning communities, or kind of a tough question. It's very individual, I think, and it depends on what you want to do. And if that particular theme of a learning community really appeals to you, then definitely something you might want to explore. Lots of really interesting questions. I would again tell you, if you're thinking about specific areas within engineering, to look at that curriculum that we have online. It really goes into detail about the types of classes you can take, and there are lots of different options within those engineering credit hours that you're going to take. So definitely take a close look at that.
So, and let me, can I call out some very specific thing that may not catch people's eyes? So there are a set of courses on the in the curriculum that are in the engineering electives category. When you look at the sheet, it's kind of the bottom left-hand side, and there's one class called It's a Complex World, another one's about systems theories and so on. These are courses coming out of what we call the Systems Collaboratory. It's a group out of industrial engineering that focuses on the general problem of what do you do when you have multiple overlapping systems that go into a particular process or service or product. And so maybe like the canonical example of this might be a spaceship, where you've got propulsion systems, you've got life support, you've got computer systems, you've got scientific instrumentation, you've got food, and you've got, waste disposal, and all of that stuff has to work seamlessly together, or the astronauts die. And so the problem of that kind of problem shows up all over the place, where things have to work together, systems have to work within systems. And so when you think about problems in that way, you start thinking very, very differently than in a world in which each one of those pieces can be isolated from one from the other. And I think it's a very rich intellectual exercise to think about these kinds of integrating, not just in the abstract, but around a particular product or process or service that has that kind of feature to it.
Getting so many interesting questions in the chat. Some people are definitely interested in a master's degree. You all are thinking way ahead, but kudos to you for thinking that far ahead. I don't know if there's something we particularly recommend that would pair well with this degree. I know we have a one-year program at the master's level in business analytics and information management that's very popular right now. Dean Hummels, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, so my strong recommendation would be that, so how do I say this gently? There's some majors on some college campuses where you get done with 4 years of study and it's not entirely clear what you're supposed to do in terms of an occupation, right? And then you feel like you need to go to grad school to get a job. That is not going to be the case with this degree. We anticipate that students are going to have more opportunities than they know what to do with. Master's programs can be extremely effective, especially in a business context, if you finish an undergraduate degree, wait 4 or 5 years, and then go back for a master's degree, because the combination of experience and then graduate study is far more potent than simply continuing on through the degree. So I don't know, Isha and Matt, if you're thinking about maybe going back for an advanced degree at some point.
Yeah, I was considering it, and I was going to implement the same feedback that you gave, Dean Hummels, of waiting 5 years and seeing what I want to pursue.
Yeah, and kind of like what I talked about with internships, how you work, and then when you go to school, then you can really use that and apply and think about things in that work context. I think that in a richer way, once you work full time a couple of years and then go back to grad school.
But that said, if for some reason you just love being in school, and you just want to keep hanging around, and I mean, that's what I did. I hung around and kept accumulating graduate degrees. But yeah, we have 1 year master's programs in supply chain, finance, economics, human resources, marketing and accounting, and business analytics. Did I say that already? And so if you want to hang around for an additional year and improve your earning power and what we absolutely have all of those options. For those of you who I think in some degrees you can get through the material really, really quickly, and so it's actually possible to finish your undergraduate coursework in 3 years and then pick up a master's in a 4th. I think that would be more challenging in the IBE because there's already a pretty challenging list of courses that you need to get through for the degree. So I suppose it's possible for people to do it, but it would be less common there.
I have a question about early start program and if IBE students are eligible for that. You are definitely eligible. It is not something that you should feel compelled to do. I think the one thing you want to keep in mind is that a couple of those courses, the Management 200, the Econ 251, you might want to save those for your first year on campus because those will be your cohort classes. So might be nice to save that rather than take that in the summertime. But definitely something you could do if you want to knock out, your speech class or English class or something like that. It could be an option for you.
Now, for the students and alums on the call, did any of you do a summer study abroad?
Yes, I was able to do the Florence program, and you're able to knock out a credit kind of with the same idea. You're able to take an accelerated Krannert class and get one of your requirements out of the way, and you get to go to some place like Italy with 25 kids your age. So it's definitely a great way to do it as well.
Yeah, so what I would say is for students who are interested in accelerating degree progress, we have both. You could do internships in the summer, or you can do study abroads, and we have a mix of duration. So you can do one that lasts for basically a couple of weeks, and you get a 3 credit hour class, or 4 weeks and you get 6 credit hours, and even longer than that. It looks like, so don't hold me to this because it's currently under discussion, but it looks like we will probably start offering January term courses starting in 2023, I believe. And so what that means is we'll create some space for another kind of short module of coursework. And we'll be offering, if that all gets approved, we'll be offering a bunch of Southern Hemisphere study abroad. So if you want to get somewhere nice and warm in January, that's going to be an option for you.
We are getting close to the end of our time, so I wanted to give each of our panelists an opportunity to end with a word of advice for our students who are watching as they're making their college decision, or Isha and Matt, if you guys want to talk about your favorite Purdue memory to let people know what they have to look forward to. And Dean Hummels, I'm going to ask you as well, but let's go ahead and start with Matt. You guys have been off campus for a year, but hopefully you have a lot of good memories at Purdue. So Matt, what would you like to talk about regarding your experience at Purdue?
Well, I could, favorite memory, I think, and hopefully I'm not stealing Isha's, but for a lot of kids our age, when we were juniors, our fall of junior year, Purdue played a night football game when they just got lights in the stadium, and number 2 undefeated Ohio State came to town, and Purdue just whomped on them and won like 49 to, I can't even remember the score, but the whole stadium stormed the field. It was just like we couldn't believe it the whole game that they were going to win it. And then by the 4th quarter, they were winning pretty good. So that was just awesome. Awesome memory. And having those types of sports at school, basketball games and football games, were just so much fun, as well as it just really brings everyone together. It's just such a great time.
I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because we've been focusing on academics, but Big Ten sports, I mean, you can't beat that for sure. Isha, how about you? Anything you want to share about your Purdue experience?
Oh, one memory that's pretty hard. Matt took a good one. Let me think. So I'm from California, so weather is very different here. Obviously, snow is not a very big thing here either. So going to Purdue was probably like super fun in the like weather kind of aspect. It was probably the first time in my adult life that I saw snow on campus. So that was super exciting. And I'd never sled before. So I still remember when I sled down Slater Hill, and it was the most fun. We had I think we used like old newspapers or cardboard or something to sled down. So not safe. But it was just a great time to just spend time outside and with all my friends all bundled up and experiencing the weather. And then we went and got hot chocolate after, and it was a great day.
I heard one of our students this year spotted a kayak going down Slater Hill. So you never know what you're going to see going down Slater Hill.
Yeah, someone brought a mattress, I think, that day too. So I don't know how they carried that up the hill, but they did.
So John, I'm going to mix it up a bit. We've been talking about memories, but I was wondering if you could give some advice to our students who are here, maybe advice about how to make their decision, or, what to do that first year on campus.
Yeah, I think I'll give an advice about first year on campus. I would say biggest piece of advice is try to talk to upperclassmen, try to meet upperclassmen, through clubs, through just any event you can go to. They'll really help you out, telling you what, internships they've had, what they like about their major. And it can really get you thinking about what you want to do in your career, what classes you want to take. So that's a great resource that, we have in Krannert. And it can be really easy to just, get into your little clique of freshmen and only talk to them. But highly recommend, seeking out seniors and talking to them.
Great advice. Amanda, you're just finishing up your first year. How did you get integrated? How did you get to feel comfortable on campus? What's that been like for you?
Yeah, for sure. Echoing that, everything that John said, taking advantage of all of the resources that are available is so huge. Those like academic resources, whether that's office hour or study groups or things that are offered on campus, but also taking advantage of events that are hosted by like the Purdue Student Union Board or just ways that you can go and meet people. That was huge for me, just stepping outside of my comfort zone and just taking that risk. I met so many people that way. Also joining clubs, that's a big one too. You meet a lot of people that way. So we have a club expo. So at both those places, just finding something that you're interested in where you could see yourself connecting with other people in the club. So
Thank you, Amanda. Dean Hummels, we have a couple of outstanding young alumni, a couple of great industrial management students with us tonight. I know as the dean, you're always looking to get more exceptional students to come to Krannert. Any last thing you want to tell them about the IBE program or about Krannert specifically to help them make their decision?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing I would say is I know everyone joining us on this call, every one of you is a highly qualified, exceptional student. I mean, you wouldn't be on the call with us if you weren't. And what that means is I know you've got a lot of options of great universities you can attend. So I'm not going to try to sell you on why we're better than somebody or anything else, because I'm sure there are a lot of great places out there. I can just tell you my story. I came to Krannert 21 years ago. I started my career at the University of Chicago, which is a great place to be if you're an economist. But I came to Krannert and I found a family. I found a group of people who were interested and invested in my success. I found faculty who cared a lot about doing a great job with undergraduate teaching and staff who work tirelessly to make a great experience. We, since I've become dean, we've really doubled down our investments on our undergraduate programs, and now specifically with the IBE program, we want to make this one of the best majors at any college, at any university, anywhere in the country. And it's not just me and the faculty. This is a project, the IBE project, that has the strong backing of the provost and the president and our board of trustees, 3 of whom are graduates of the industrial management program. And so the commitment is we're going to do everything we can to make students who enter Krannert, and especially those who go through our IBE program, make sure that they have an exceptional college experience. So if that's interesting to you, we'd love to have you on campus. And if you do choose to take our offer of admission, come find me. My office sits on the first floor of the Krannert building. It will be newly renovated when you walk in. It's going to be very fancy, lots of student collaboration spaces and places where you can work together with teams. But you'll find the dean's office just by the elevators. Come on by and say hi. I'd love to grab a coffee or a lunch with you and talk about how your first year is going.
Thank you, Dean Hummels. I want to thank all of our panelists for joining us tonight. You provided some great advice and insight. We really appreciate your time. I want to thank all of the students who joined us tonight as well to learn more about integrated business and engineering. We are going to sign off now from West Lafayette. Have a good evening. And as always, boiler up.